So I didn't bring my prosthetic with me, but I have two. I have one that's clear, which is the one that I'm wearing today, and I have one that's painted to match my left eye. And I made the choice very deliberately to not wear the painted shell very often, because this is the eye I've known my whole life. I look in the mirror and I don't recognize myself with two eyes. But I have had doctors tell me, oh, you'll be so much prettier when you have two matching eyes. We could just get you contacts for the other one and then no one would know. Or if you just wear the painted eye at your wedding, you'll be much happier about the photos. And I'm like, no, I'm much happier being the person I am. I actually love the color of my cataract. It's a kind of aqua milky color, and I really like it now. I in fact pick clothing based on the fact that it is a similar shade and will bring out my cataract.
I love that.
So I don't wear the painted shells that often because it's not who I am, and I've made very deliberate choices about that after embracing that part of my body, and it took a really long time. And people keep trying to snatch it away from me.
I can speak to, the sort of a journey of learning to love something that then others sometimes try to take back. I'm not always the most eloquent, but so I experienced 68 surgeries to my face and hands between the ages of 2 and 14. Some of which were functionally reconstructive, but most of which were cosmetic. And there were planned for me a series of, I think 18 more. And these were really extremely painful. Like, this is dermabrasion before there were lasers. I'm 40 years old, so we're talking about like having your skin sandpapered, having skin taken from other parts of the body and put on the face. I didn't have summer vacations throughout grade school and middle school because I was constantly in the hospital. At one point, I calculated how many more hours I had spent either in a hospital or in recovery than outside of it as a child. All because there was this quest to make me look normal. And every single surgery, that I was always told, but you'll be so pretty. And at the same time, my parents, nobody took photos of me as a child. There are literally no photos because they were waiting for when I would look normal. They were waiting for a finished product, and they thought that if there were pictures of me in bandages or pictures where my scars were red or inflamed, that I wouldn't want to see those things. So I have no record, and I'm a mama now. I have 2 children, and I have tons of pictures of them in the bathtub and riding their bikes and learning every step of the way. And I have no record of any of those things. Absolutely none. I left home when I was 14, in part because I wanted to get the fuck away from that and be able to be in charge of my body. And I've never done anything cosmetic in those ways since. But one thing that I do love now, I love photos. I'm a selfie queen. I am extremely vain about my hair color. I spend a lot of time, I often have eyelash extensions. I wear really bright, vivid makeup. And it means a lot to me to be able to see representations of myself, to be able to create my own representations. I'm happy to see my reflection. I see my scars as beautifully asymmetric. One of the hashtags I use on Instagram all the time is beautiful asymmetry. I like seeing images of myself when I'm completely without makeup, and I like seeing images of myself when I'm completely on film. It is for me a way to take ownership of that. However, there was a period when I was in my early 20s, I guess, where I was attempting to crip queer spaces, I guess, meaning making queer spaces safe for myself as a disabled person. And also I was very involved in feminist stuff. And in those circles, people were often very hostile to my embrace of makeup and hyper femininity, I guess, because even people who themselves wore that kind of thing and talked about like having a high femme identity, or people who are sort of invested in their own physical presentations, they would say, but you don't need all of that. You don't need that makeup. You're so beautiful the way you are. Don't you feel beautiful? And my choice has always been, yes, I am beautiful. And because I see myself as beautiful and I see myself as strong, I guess I have an obligation to the little girl that I was to get to play with that and explore that as much as I can as an adult.
I love that. I had sort of a similar, but obviously very different because of different disabilities, experience somewhat recently. Growing up, I never really did much with my appearance at all. In part because I was blind and I just had this assumption that I would never be able to do my hair or makeup properly. Because I couldn't see well enough to do it. At least that's what I thought. I didn't know any other blind people who were into, hair, makeup, fashion. So I didn't know how to access that space. But also because I've always been plus size and I've always been a writer. And so there was always this idea that like appearance, like caring about my appearance was not a space for me. That I was best, behind the computer monitor. I was best on paper. I was best with words. And like, that's cool. I love being a writer. I love that space. But I guess it was a little over 2 years ago now, I started playing with makeup for the first time, and someone lent me a red lipstick. And the first time I put it on, I was like, I look ridiculous. I can't do this. But then I started embracing it more and more and more, and lipstick turned into foundation, and foundation turned into mascara and eyeliner. And I mean, if you're watching this video and are visual, you can probably tell I am completely gossed out. So 2 years did a lot, and I've had to learn ways in which that medium of doing makeup and stuff is accessible for me, and it's going to
be your ways.
We'll talk after. I have learned many tricks, and it's different from what a visual person would do. I can do most of the makeup without a mirror, except eyeliner because I'm not that brave. But I have kind of started taking selfies, and I'm sorry to anyone who follows me on Instagram because there's a lot of them now. And for me, it's kind of become a thing of reclaiming. This might sound a little weird, but reclaiming my face, of being like the face of a young blind woman who loves a visual medium. I think there's an assumption that if you're blind or visually impaired, like visual mediums are just not for you, and that is such excuse my language, but such bullshit. One of my closest blind friends is a visual artist.
I'm a photographer.
I do photography too. And when people hear that, they're like, but how? And I'm like, well, I like to play with contrast and light. Like, I like taking pictures of things that I can see.
I did burlesque photography for 6 years, live theater photography. And I got better photos than most of the visual photographers.
Because you have an eye for where the light is, I'm sure.
I also have an eye for the rhythm. So I track a performance by where I hear the music and where the beat is going. And I've learned the medium enough that I just sit there with my camera and wait. And I know when you're going to take that top off. I know when you're going to strike a really interesting pose because of your musicality. I can find it, I can hunt it down, and I can take a good photo of it. I don't need to be able to see.
And when you explain that, I think most people would be like, oh, that makes sense. But just to think of a blind person being interested in a visual medium blows a lot of people's minds. And of course, makeup and hair and stuff being a visual medium.
They get so confused.
Yeah, and that's why I think I get accused a lot too of faking blindness, because if I'm out in public, 90% of the time, I've got, lipstick and makeup on, and I am very proud of myself to say I can apply lipstick like a champ with no mirror. I've done it in the backseat of a cab with a liquid lipstick. I'm like, that's my superpower, And people get so confused by, by me liking it for one thing, and by me being able to do it on my own. And, I understand that I confuse people more because I do it every day, but at the same time, like, I think it's good to put out into the world images of disabled people, like, joyfully claiming their appearance, and even if their disability isn't physical, but joyfully claiming their appearance and saying, look, I am the face of a disabled person. You don't think this is what disability looks like, but this is what disability looks like.
There used to be a really great Facebook group and meme that was, "This is what disability looks like." And one of the first images was of myself and two dancers, Alice Shepard and Michelle Mantione. Alice is a wheelchair using dancer, and Michelle is a crutch using dancer, and then myself, and it said, this is what disability looks like, ... sultry dancers, which was, also kind of sexualizing us in a slightly problematic way, but it was interesting. Which brings me, I guess, to like something I was wondering how you feel about Jazzalee. Hearing them talk about the way that being blind is confusing to folks as a way that a photographer might identify. I know when I tell people that I am a professional dancer, and they look at me and they see a disabled body, and they, like the idea of a disabled dancer, how does...
I've gotten people that in my face. I've told them, oh, I'm a dancer. I've been dancing since I was in the womb. My mother was a dancer for Abernathy Dance Company, and my father also. So I've grown up in that world, and now I actually have shows, and we're actually performers. It's a dance, and they don't see that. But
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point that I really don't care what you see. I know what I am. So either you believe it or you don't, or you'll see it for yourself, and then they say, oh, okay.
My dad was a dancer with Martha Graham, and I grew up with a very similar family background, and I did competitive swing dancing for a long time, which was really fun. I got thrown around a lot. I was doing Lindy Hop, and exactly, it's like, but is it therapy?
Yeah.
I remember somebody asked me if it was therapy. I'm like, well, I guess I'm an adrenaline junkie, because I'm being thrown in the air and then thrown through somebody's legs on the ground, and I think this is fun.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that says a lot too about the way disabled spaces, and disabled communities are viewed. I was telling someone recently, I'm fairly active with a cycling group for people with disabilities, a tandem cycling group here in New York City. And essentially what happens is that sighted captains will, ride in the front of the bike, and people, most of the time it's blind people, but people with other disabilities as well who just don't feel comfortable riding a bike alone will ride on the, will ride in the back. And when I tell people this, there's this assumption that A, we're riding like those, like the little tandem bikes you can rent like at the beach, and B, they're like, oh, that's sweet, and I'm like, I don't think you understand. And I'm like, we're riding like road bikes, like nice road bikes. They are, fast and they are slim. And riding, like, just because two people are riding it, like, that's more weight. You actually, like, both of you have to be pedaling pretty hard to make the thing move. And I'm like, I've ridden, 40 plus miles, 50 plus miles in hilly terrain. Like, we're not, like, this isn't that sweet. Like, this isn't your vacation, let's rent a tandem. Like, I didn't get to this year because unfortunately I'm on deadline and it's destroying my ability to go out and go cycling.
Deadlines suck.
It's terrible. But like several of my friends in that group just did the 5-borough bike ride.
Nice.
This is, I have friends who have done century rides, which are 100 miles. via this program. I'm like, this isn't, like, just because people with disabilities are participating, it's not sweet or some sort of charity thing. Like, this is an actual physical program. I would consider all of my fellow teammates in this, like, we're basically a cycling club that just uses, or a cycling team that just uses tandem bikes, and I would consider them all athletes.
Last week I had a show. I performed at the Disability Expo in New Jersey. And the day before the show, my elevator broke.
Oh no.
So there was no way for me to get down.
Oh no.
All of my neighbors, I was freaking out just because I had to get to the show on the next day. All my neighbors was like, oh, it's okay, you could just cancel. It's no big deal. And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, you guys really don't understand that it is a big deal. It's a group thing. I can't let my other fellow dancers down. So I had to crawl down the stairs. Thank God I'm only on the second floor. But I crawled down the stairs. I took a cab to a friend's house, borrowed his wheelchair, brought it back home, left it in the lobby, crawled back upstairs, went to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning to get up at 6 to crawl right back down to go to my show. And people were asking, oh, just forget about it, just why you couldn't go through all that? And I guess they don't understand. It's like what you say, they think it's no big deal.
They think it's like a hobby.
Yes,
Like, no, this is what I do.
Yeah, for me, it's like, this is my job, this is what I do. But they don't get that.
Hey, there's a word that you use that I want to address because it's sort of a segue, but the word sweet gets applied to us a lot.
Yes.
And cute gets applied to us a lot. And I remember when my husband and I were first starting to date, we were walking down a corridor hand in hand near his office. And he gave me a kiss goodbye and I scurried off home and he went to work. And his coworker came up to him after he had spotted us in the hall, and he says, oh, I think it's really sweet that you're volunteering with the blind.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I remember looking at my husband, and my now husband, I went, so I guess he didn't catch you snogging me in the middle of the hallway, because I don't know if he would have considered that volunteering at that point.
Well, I've gotten my husband, well, my fiance, husband to be, he's also in a wheelchair. And I get it all the time. Oh, you guys are so sweet.
Ooh.
And I'm like, why?
Although you guys are disgustingly cute together. I'm not sure that that's entirely able to happen.
Well, it's okay for you people.
Our adorable couples are not for you, Abels.
But it's also there's also a difference between being like, oh my god, you guys are just disgustingly cute together, and being like, oh, that's so sweet, two disabled people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like, you can tell the difference when someone says it. It's like one of my friends says, oh my god, you look so cute. That's different than being like, oh, you're so cute. Like, it's not condescending.
Yes.
How did we all feel about the disabled and cute hashtag?
I actually love it.
Me too.
I love it. I had someone tell me recently that they felt uncomfortable with it because it was prioritizing appearance, and I'm like, I understand why you would, and this was another disabled person, but someone who doesn't frequently, she's also legally blind, but she can drive, she has more vision than I do. Like,
Oh, lucky her, she can drive.
yeah, she uses like, is it oh my gosh, what are they called? I don't remember, but she uses a certain type of magnification in her car. But essentially, long story short, most people don't know she's blind, and she doesn't hide it, but she also doesn't like volunteer it very much. Like, it's not as obvious with her as it would be with me. And she was like, I feel like it prioritizes appearance. I'm like, I understand why you feel that way. I was like, but you have to also consider that we're part of a community where our appearance is often, like, we don't get to be we don't get to prioritize our appearance ever. Like, that's not a choice for us half the time. You know, you were saying before, like, with that, you know, thing, that the meme was a little, like, problematic for, you know, the way it was overly sexualized. But it's also interesting because on the flip side, disabled people, disabled women specifically, are often desexualized.
Right.
And to an extreme degree. And so it's finding that balance of being like, okay, you don't want to overcompensate and be overly sexualized, like, without your permission, especially. But it's also like, I have to talk to my able-bodied female friends sometimes, or femme friends, I should say, who are complaining about, like, how often they, you know, are sexualized by strangers, and thinking that this is such a universal thing. And I'm like, I mean, it is a universal thing, but you also have to consider that when you're disabled, you get the other end of the spectrum, that you aren't seen as a sexual being, even when you want to be.
And they're two sides of the same coin in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I also think, like, in terms of understanding ourselves as, like, disabled and cute, disabled and sexy, those kinds of ideas, where I see myself in relation to those kind of ideas has changed a lot over the years. I have identified proudly and vocally as disabled since I was about 19 years old. And as I said earlier, I'm 40 now. I think in my mid-20s to mid-30s, I was very, I not only wanted to be seen as sexy, but I think it was the only way that I felt that I could, you know, I was almost very aggressive about being, like, I drew very heavily upon my burlesque background, and I really wanted to exude sexy, sexy, sexy at all times. And I still want to sometimes exude sexy, but it's also important to me now not to have sexiness or attractiveness be the only way into making my body palatable or relatable for non-disabled folks.
I agree with that.
Especially, like, as a mama now, I know my daughter is 15 years old and she's non-disabled, and as I want to exemplify all kinds of strength for her and all kinds of ways to be feminine. And yeah, I think about that a lot. The disabled and cute hashtag, I like it. I didn't use it myself because I think I'm always disabled and cute, and I have no, you know, I don't use a lot of disability-specific hashtags unless I'm making a political point. But I liked following other people's use of the.
I was really happy with mine because I was holding my prosthetic eye in one hand.
Yes, I saw yours. It was awesome. It was really good. Yeah.
I will say I like the disabled and cute hashtag, but I do, at least for me, it did feel political.
Yeah.
Because, you know, again, especially with my specific disability, it's not such a disability that people don't think I couldn't be attractive. You know, I can't be attractive because my disability, you know, really only affects my eyes in that regard. And so for me, that was political to be like, you know, take a picture of me wearing a full face of makeup and with, you know, my hair styled and be, you know, disabled and cute. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm a blind woman, I'm disabled, and I can do all of this, and I can embrace this.
It was political for me too, because, like, I have the occluded eye, but I also have really thick glasses. Cody was manhandling them at the beginning of our interview, you know, with consent.
Yes,
But
I didn't steal her glasses. I feel that should be made clear.
very clear. But I take a lot of time to pick out my new glasses. These glasses are expensive, they're fashion glasses, but I make sure that they look good because I have to wear them every single day. So they're a part of my face. So when I'm cute and disabled, it's because I picked out glasses that make my face look good. It took me 3 months to find my new pair, and I still have to fix them.
It's funny, I always, like, I know a lot of people who wear glasses, like, take a lot of pride in picking the right glasses, but you will never find people who are as picky about picking glasses as low vision or visually impaired people who wear them. Like, we are all about it. I don't wear them anymore, but when I used to, it was a day when I would just sit in, like, the frame shop and try everything on.
I went to the frame shop in my town, and their frames weren't good enough.
Yes. I used to have pink frames that I was very proud of
My
when I was younger.
My new ones are teal to match my cataract.
I love it.
I'm really excited.
I've never used this one, but now that I know it's out there, I will start owning it. Definitely.
And it's also just a great way to find other disabled, especially disabled femmes specifically.
Awesome.
And I appreciate that it was started by, like, a disabled woman of color who's,
Yeah.
like, proudly owning it, you know, and
Tia Brown is really awesome.
she's great. And I hope she succeeds at getting on Ellen, which is